Johnny, China and America have just met in Washington. Joe Biden and Xi Jinping. Surely that's a good thing. Yeah, Johnny, I suppose it's a good thing, yeah. But you know, I don't look at it in that light. I look at it a little bit in the light of they're the two biggest bullshit artist countries in the world. Oh, well, what do you mean by that? Yeah, bullshit. I mean, they both tell bullshit. The US has been telling bullshit to its people in the world for 130 years or more. Well, and China, you can't trust a bloody thing China says either. So you get these two countries telling each other bullshit. So can you believe what they're going to say, what they're going to do? Well, Jesus, I don't think you can. Well, now you mention it, Johnny, they have been bloody talking shit for a long time.
President Biden and China's Xi Jinping meeting today after years of rising tensions surrounding surveillance, trade, and Taiwan independence. The two are meeting for the first time in person in more than a year.
We're not trying to decouple from China, but what we're trying to do is change the relationship for the better.
Okay, let's see. President Biden there yesterday outlining his goal ahead of today's high-stakes meeting with the president of China, Mr. Xi, in San Francisco this afternoon.
I mean, you hear all this stuff, Johnny. They go through all these talks and everything, which is great. But then you have this bloke come along and say this.
Just the way he framed this summit meeting is that we want to improve our relationship. We don't have a relationship with China. It's not like these are two teenagers dating. China is our #1 adversary in the world.
Sure.
And what we should be doing is focusing on ways that we can get the better of China to stop them from cheating on their trade deals or hacking into U.S. government computers or floating spy balloons over America, none of which I'm sure Joe Biden is going to raise with Xi Jinping today.
What? Jesus, he's got a point.
The Australian Signals Directorate confirms cyber attacks have been rapidly rising. State-backed cyber hackers continue to be a threat. Despite recent warming relations, China has been singled out as far and away the main culprit.
You mean they can't be trusted at all?
Republican talking point.
Which is something China claims they don't do in the first place.
Right.
Obviously they do, and I'm very skeptical, again, about what Joe Biden may be giving away to get that in return, and that China will keep its promises. Remember, Xi Jinping promised Barack Obama he'd stop hacking into U.S. computers. They keep doing that. Xi Jinping promised that they wouldn't build islands in the South China Sea and arm them with missile systems, and they're doing that as well. So you cannot trust Chinese communists to keep their word.
Now, he doesn't seem to trust China at all. And I don't reckon China would be trusting the US. Yeah.
Why? Because America is a failed state. We are 100% corrupt. America is not regular corrupt like people think. America is 100%, the United States government is 100% corrupt, and it's been bought by corporations and mostly people in the military-industrial complex, which is why we can do this while we have people sleeping under every bridge and people going bankrupt when they get sick.
And everyone gets optimistic, Johnny, you know, it's good for peace and all that sort of shit, but I don't believe that for a second.
Guess who blew up the Nord Stream pipeline? Russia. We were told it was Russia because Putin's mad. No. Ukraine blew up the Nord Stream pipeline, like we told you at the time. The opposite, in terms of the conflict, of what the legacy media told you at the time. Now here's what we're going to tell you. America helped them blow up that pipeline. Hey, that's a conspiracy theory. Give it a minute. Let's have a look at how the government and legacy media reported on the Nord Stream pipeline at the time to ensure that the truth didn't leak out, like natural gas.
I think, as Mr. Sullivan mentioned, there are 3 now national investigations being done into the Nord Stream 2 explosion by 3 of our allies. We are not going to get ahead of that. That work is still ongoing. We still do believe it was an act of sabotage. The United States was not involved.
Okay, sabotage, United States not involved, okay.
In any way, contrary to some press reporting out there.
Conspiracy theorists.
But we need to let the work of these investigators go on, and it needs to go on unimpeded.
Can't impede their work.
Did the U.S. or a proxy for the U.S.
Proxy?
Jesus, listen to that. Jesus, yeah.
Have anything to do with the explosion on the Nord Stream pipeline?
The United States had nothing to do with it. That's just Russian propaganda and disinformation.
Because that's the only people that do propaganda and misinformation.
Well, how did that turn out later?
The close ties between the Ukrainian and US militaries and the extremely sophisticated operation necessary to blow up the deep sea pipelines, there is an additional conclusion to draw that the Western media continues to avoid. If Ukraine did it, it was not alone. The US must have been intimately involved too. Of course.
Oh my fucking God!
Yeah, well, it does look pretty bloody suspicious. So, Johnny, how do you reckon we can get away from this bloody schmozzle? Now, I don't know how you go about that in China, Johnny, and I'm not sure how you go about it in the US. The US is bloody often too dumb to see how fucking corrupt they are.